What's up, fellas? Happy holidays to you and your family. Whatever you celebrate, I hope you have a great time. It's almost the new year, bro, and this is my 4th year being on YouTube, getting paid essentially to lift weights and to make content, which is crazy. So the blessings that I've gotten as a result of that you guys have helped me acquire, I want you and your families to experience those blessings as well. So, I hope this is a happy time for you. I know with everything going on right now in the world, it's not a happy time for everybody. But if you do have friends and family, tell them you love them, spend some time with them. We have a Q&A today. And I know when I say that I've had enough, that it comes across as I'm just joking. He's just being funny. I am trying to be funny when I put that in the titles and when I say that, but it really means that I'm pissed off. And I'm done making Q&As the way that I have in the past. Not that the old Q&As were bad, but by that I mean I overqualified things to the point where if I'm speaking towards every use case, I know damn well I don't believe in every use case. I have one that I really care about and it represents my opinion. So we're gonna be doing that today, starting with what is the most infuriating conversation that you can have in the form of a hot take. This first one really pisses me off because it's a useless conversation. I'm just gonna give you my honest opinion on it. But it's this whole conversation of, I have a real job, I can't get jacked. And on the other side you have, well, make the time for the things that you want. Here's how I talk about this. I could give you some whole spiel about manage your time better, do this, and that to make X hours in your schedule. I'm just gonna put it like this. In life, we have things that we need and want, and concessions and admissions that we have to make to acquire and get to those things. I'm no stranger to that. The truth of the matter is this: pushing your body to the limits of what it's capable of, naturally or unnaturally, so it doesn't matter. It's not some fluffy undertaking. It takes sacrifice in terms of lifestyle and just things that you would otherwise want to do. When the truth of the matter is, and this is coming from someone like myself that is interested in pushing their body to the limits of what it's capable of, I think I saw a reel from this lady that wasn't even like a personal trainer. She was like a doctor or pharmacist or something. She had her parents who were older work out like 30 minutes a week, and they saw improvements in bone density, muscle tone, strength, agility, just overall quality of life massively improved. Of course, when you're a little younger, maybe that 30 minutes will have to be 30 minutes twice a week or an hour a week or something like that. But when it comes to like the quality of life, dude, it doesn't take all that much. So by that, I mean, we all have our paths in life that we have to choose, and we have to walk those paths with conviction. Just fucking focus on yourself. It's so annoying. So like, sometimes I'll be on different channels, right? And you flip through the comments or whatever, and you'll see some guy that says, well, I have a real job, so I can't fucking do this, blah, blah, blah. And then on the other hand, you have a guy that, is Johnny Gymcell. Well, just make the fucking sacrifice, dude. Do whatever. It's not a useful conversation on either end. Focus on yourself and walk the path that you choose to the best of your capability. I'm tired of hearing the fucking conversation. It's just dumb. Fellas, you let me know how you feel about that. I really want some good discussion going on that because I feel like that's an important topic because that has so much implication in all other facets of life that I think this is something that people should be talking about. All right, this next hot take is from Patreon. It basically says, and I'll summarize it, a dedicated cardio day added to your existing gym schedule. So like say you go to the gym 4 times a week and you add a cardio day, will benefit you more than adding a 5th day where you're just focusing on arms or whatever it is that you want to do. First and foremost, let me say the amount of support, again, that I receive is crazy. I want to do another giveaway soon, so anybody, Patreon supporter or not, in an ideal world, I would want to do like first place, like the new hack squat leg press combo that we came out from Bells of Steel. Really good range of motion on it. Really solid product. Something like that for first place, then maybe something like a bar, 2nd place, program 3rd place, whatever the case may be. Again, I just want to give back. Like this entire thing that we're doing is such a privilege, and it only feels right to pour into what has poured in so much to me. You know what I mean? But to get to the hot take anyway, I actually agree, bro. I feel like here's the problem. A lot of people don't take the time to take what they're doing now, and this is just, I could take this conversation in so many directions. This is just symptomatic of so many different things, but they don't take the time to do what they're doing already well and with mastery and with 100% intention before they add in more. So for example, they'll see Sammy Sausage Head, Jimmy Green Bean, whomever doing whatever the fuck on social media, and they'll say, well, I do 40 sets of back a week. And then Johnny One Plate that's doing like 6 sets of back a week and isn't doing a great job at that, they'll think, well, shit, he's doing 40, maybe I should do 30 or something like that. Well, maybe just take that 6 sets that you're doing and do them well. I think that if you take the time to do what you're doing well, you'll find that you don't need as much as you think you do. Now, I'm not going in the Mike Mentzer direction, no disrespect to him, in saying that like do 1 or 2 sets per exercise per week or every other week or whatever he prescribed. But you absolutely would be surprised how little you actually need to grow. Let me put it to you like this. I recently started training 2 of my nephews and my youngest brother. My youngest brother already benches over 225, I believe. And my nephews have really good form and they're making great progress as well. They just started a few weeks ago. The amount of volumes that they have to do when I'm in there with them saying, slow down, fix your form, put your elbow here, keep going, keep going. The amount of volume that they have to do when they're actually taking sets to a reasonable proximity to failure and with a good form is minimal. And that's emblematic of the status many beginner lifters are in. They just started training a few weeks ago. Most people who consume fitness content are relatively new and certainly new to training properly. So the amount that you need is probably not that much. 4 days per week is plenty if you're new in the gym. And just adding that 5th cardio day, you're gonna live longer, you'll feel better, you'll be able to eat a little bit more because you're burning more calories or maintain a leaner physique if that's what you're looking for. It's all good around the board. Whereas if you added that extra like hypertrophy day, it's just going to be another half-ass workout where you're doing the same bullshit you were doing on the other 4 days. So that's my opinion on that hot take. Let me know how you feel about that. Next one's a fun one. It's not training related, but it is super important. So listen up. What's my favorite movie sword? I'm gonna, give you a few of my favorite movie swords. Green Destiny from Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. This is just off the top of my head. That sword that Blade used from the Blade movies. I'm gonna put a clip up on the screen if no one's ever watched it.
Freeze! Motherfucker, are you out of your damn mind?
Please, cult classic, bro. Please watch the Blade series. The first one's the best one in my opinion. In terms of Zoomer stuff that you may be aware of if you're a little younger. Rengoku's katana from Demon Slayer Infinity Train. That was a movie before it came out in the anime. And then I guess the Dragon Slayer from Berserk, since that was a movie as well. The Golden Age series was a movie as well. What are y'all favorite fictional swords? There's a bunch that I could name, but those were just the ones off the top of my head. Next hot take. This fella said that calling weighted squats with a barbell weighted calisthenics is absurd or appalling or whatever, just because that's like calling an RDL weighted toe touch. Here's the thing about this, bro. At first, when I got this question, my first instinct at that time was to literally pull up the dictionary definition of like calisthenics and then, again, speak in a way that qualifies my answer too much. That doesn't do anything. Proving myself right doesn't do anything productive, right? It stifles discussion and it doesn't do anything but make that fella feel stupid, like at best, right? Here's what I'll say, dog. You could call squats big booty Judies if that's what you wanted to call them. You could call them whatever you wanted to call them. If you want to get bigger legs, more than likely you're going to be doing some form of squat. So just do the squat. I'm not saying he's speaking against that, but that's ultimately, I'm responding to the sentiment and just saying like, look, man, just go to the gym and squat. It doesn't matter what you call it. Speaking into that, actually, there are people, jacked guys at the gym that don't use all the jargon that you may hear on social media, the gigabrain stuff, but they could explain to you what it means. They just have different words to explain it. So my buddy Big T, rest in peace, he, for example, explained like the top down back off sets. I forget exactly what he said, But he explained it as we were talking about like bench or whatever, because I was spotting him. And he explained the top set, back down set in a way that I understood what he was saying because I'm acquainted with the concept, but he didn't use all that fancy jargon. And there are people that could explain periodization, block periodization, all of those things. It don't matter what you call it, bro. Effective training is going to look pretty similar no matter what you're talking about. Just go to the gym and squat. Nothing compares to it, okay? Next question is about tricep training. Now, I understand that we have browbeaten like train your arms hard if you want to get bigger arms. No fucking shit. But again, I feel this question is symptomatic of types of answers that maybe we've been giving, or especially myself, where we're overqualifying things instead of just giving answers, where this question's confusion comes from. He's basically saying like, look, I'm training my arms 3 times a week. Am I making a mistake by not doing extensions and press downs on the same day? And I know this comes from stories where I may have said, oh, I'm training triceps 3 times a week. I'm doing this and that. Here's how I'm going to answer this question. If you're making progress doing what you're doing now, it's not a mistake. Why do more if you're making progress? Meaning, by making progress, I mean with those extensions and push downs, albeit you're doing them on separate days, if you're making progress in them, your muscles are growing. Ultimately, it's a strength adaptation at the end of the day that is going to dictate, all things being equal, your form stays the same, everything else. Will your muscle grow or not? If you're not getting stronger with the same form that you were using before, you're not going to get bigger, no matter how you want to talk about it. But if you're not making progress, it's not necessarily because you're not doing everything under the sun at the gym, doing every millions of tricep exercises that you could do. Look at how much protein you're eating per day. I do think that you should eat protein with every meal, and you should be getting a good amount of protein in. I'm not one of those people that says, oh, you can eat 15 grams a day. I don't believe that. Like, if you don't agree, that's fine, but that's not what I found to be true. It doesn't hurt to eat more protein most of the time. Are you sleeping enough? Are you pushing those sets to an adequate level of intensity that would allow you to grow? And are you pushing for the progression? Those are things that I think you should ask yourself. I call it the check yourself checklist on the BERSERK Method 2023. Please check out that particular part of the BERSERK Method 2023. It's super helpful. It'll help troubleshoot a lot of y'all's questions. But all of that is a lot more worthwhile looking into than, am I doing this exercise that I saw such and such doing? No, it's more than likely not it. All right, this next one is, I already know, man, it's gonna be some bullshit, but this fella asked maximum time under tension, so like the Johnny bodybuilder form versus just horsing the weight. I know a lot of us have seen that video from Sticky Ricky. You go ahead and watch that because it was very entertaining, but that kind of sets the premise for where I know they got the idea to ask this question from. Here's what I'll say, man. I've been saying for a while with regards to questions like this that I get from time to time, just use a common sense eccentric. What do I mean by that? Use a common sense eccentric, common sense form. Focus on pushing good weight with form that targets your muscle and you'll be all right. By common sense form, I mean, for example, when we learned how to squat or to bench press or to curl or whatever, we didn't learn it in person a lot of the time. We learned it on YouTube. We learned it seeing someone on the internet doing it, and they had like a standard form and cadence that they used. It wasn't super slow. It, of course, wasn't jerky, right? Because they tell you not to do that most of the time, or if they know what they're talking about most of the time anyway. They won't tell you to specifically crash at the bottom of the weights and just use all kinds of momentum. They'll say, try to use some form of control somewhere. But it's not so slow of a cadence that it's impacting the weights that you can lift at all. So here's what I'll say. If you take a guy and he can squat 185 pounds for 5 reps, and you make him slow down his cadence to the point where like he's squatting 95 pounds and it's a good workout, I could, like, if I took someone that's watching this right now, for instance, and told them to just fucking do arm circles and do all kinds of stuff with just their body weight, their shoulders would just be completely erased, right? Like they'd be pumped beyond oblivion, but they wouldn't get bigger from that. There has to be a balance struck between those two things, in my opinion. Now, I don't profess to know everything, but what I know from experience is that things are like a pendulum, and somewhere in the middle is usually the right answer, and that's what I believe for this. Last but not least, personally, bro, I think buy-in is very important with anything. Perfect example, ring push-ups are something that I really like, but the fact that I got great muscle stimulus from it, I was able to maintain my strength, and all these other benefits was irrelevant because you know what? It's a body weight exercise. People want to horse the weight. So when I present that as an alternative to bench press, most people are not going to buy into that. It's not right or wrong. That just is what it is. And you don't have to use dog shit form to horse weight and just be a hoss. Like, for example, I can talk about the entire, Chinese Olympic weightlifting team, the Japanese team, the Korean team. They each have figures on social media. So like Toshiki, Lee Song, and then we'll just use Liu Xiaojun for instance. All three of them were extremely jacked, aesthetic. They lift a lot of weights, different weight classes, but the point remains that they're all jacked and they lift a lot of weight. Their form is immaculate on everything that they do. We buy into people, I guess is what I'm saying, what I'm getting to, that represent an even mix of all those physical qualities that we're looking for. Good form, strong, jacked, aesthetic. It doesn't have to just be one or two of those things. I think people want to strive for all of them. A good friend of mine, Freddie, asked me what I felt was the most replayable FromSoft games. Like, if you've ever played Dark Souls, most of y'all have heard of it. Maybe you played it and didn't like how the game was packing you up. I really enjoy Soulsborne games. I feel like the most replayable one for me, I have a few that I really, can see myself going back to. Maybe this first one will be a hot take among people that play it, but Dark Souls 2, great replay value. I know that like the hitboxes on it are trash, and there are certain parts about it that are not, they don't evoke the thought of Dark Souls. Like, it's a good game, but it's not a good Dark Souls game, but it is good replay value. Bloodborne, infinite replay value. It's easily the best Soulsborne game in my opinion. And then I think Dark Souls 3, just because of the PvP aspect. I think that a big part of what makes Souls games in general replayable is the fact that the PvP has always been really, it's improved for the most part with each release, at least in terms of the original Dark Souls trilogy. Elden Ring, on the other hand, you would think that it would be more replayable because of the open world being really vast and there being a lot to do on paper. But the shit is just boring, the third playthrough. I'm just going to keep it real with you, bro. It's the reason why I haven't played it in months. I thought the DLC was coming out, so I built up a new character real quick, and then lo and behold, the game show comes around, still no DLC announcement, so it is collecting dust right now. It's just not a replayable game. Just to include fellas that play video games, but they don't like Dark Souls and all that, what's a video game that you see yourself coming back to over and over again? I know for a lot of people, it may be Zelda, Mario, Final Fantasy, whatever. What's a video game that you really come back to? BQ coming in hot with the final hot take. This one's hilarious, but it's so true. I just spoiled my opinion on it. But listen, because you need to listen to this one. It's very important. BQ said, most exercises are just cope. They hurt recovery. They're distractions. Just get good at a few of them. I feel that this is in alignment with the way that I feel about a lot of things. I talked about it, the power building is an abomination video that I made where I broke down look, man, we want to get good at like 15 different movements that you're going to have in a holistic program anyway if you want to get bigger. That's how you can focus on getting bigger in your training and reconciling that with getting stronger in your mind, because the two have a causal relationship. I've said this time and time again over the years. You cannot remove them from one another. BQ has a way of centering me when I'm lost in the sauce, right? For example, the other day, he was talking about a bench session that he was about to head into. And just, you meet Sammy Sausage Head. I start talking about, oh yeah, I'm gonna hit legs today. You know what this motherfucker said? He told me to post hairline, and then we started talking about upper body stuff again. Nasty work there, bro. Telling me to post hairline, that's crazy. All jokes aside, fellas, get good at what you're doing already before you add more to it. There's this, I call it recency versus relevancy problem in social media right now. It will always be an issue. Just try to think more intently about what you're doing so that you don't fall prey to this. It's great putting out golden tidbits and things like that. I think that's very valuable. But it's kind of like a eat the meat and spit out the bones kind of thing, right? If it don't apply, let it fly. If you have a foundation of what you're doing and it's working, keep doing it. If you have a need to try something different or you have room in your program to add something different, do that. But that's been the Q&A, fellas. This has been really fun to put together. I haven't said that in a little while, man, because, you know, I don't want what I create to be soulless. And if it ain't fun, I ain't gonna say it's fun, but this was fun to put together for you. You let me know what questions you have. Let's hear about some of those hot takes. Watch these videos now that you've watched this one. Happy holidays.